what was true before COVID is still true now and might even be more true after COVID. A lot of people in the world are making a link. Of course, not a direct link or a causal link, but there is some people out there, scientifically minded people, some others less scientifically minded, who are claiming that we have been living beyond our natural boundaries. That has an impact on the global ecological system, whether we like it or not. And a good amount of that impact is derived from fossil sources of energy. And this has been going for decades, if not centuries. So in the context of Africa, of course, if you look at that whole time frame, we are not responsible for that global warming or the current global warming level, or our impact on it has been, relatively speaking, pretty small. But guess what? We are the first victim of that, because our economies are not strong enough to sustain the impact of climate change, whether it's droughts, whether it's floods. Those are direct impact of a climate change system to which, of course, we are not responsible, but we are a victim of. So we do have a responsibility and this is a purely African perspective. We have a responsibility beyond the economic, consideration about, and of course, the technological consideration about renewable being competitive or not. We have an ecological responsibility to contribute to finding solutions of those. So I think the long-term trend of renewable energy is pretty bright, despite COVID. And some studies do point out to a stronger pickup for renewable energy post-COVID.
I'd like to follow on to, especially the point about the long-term strategy will be the same post-COVID, because what's important in your state, in your local region, should be driving how you make your energy choices. And it's true that we all have to be responsible, and in taking into consideration the output and the impacts that Africa experiences, each country will, of course, make decisions based on economics, localization, workforce, and the clean energy strategy that's going to work and be effective in their part of the world.
We need to adopt a pragmatic approach that says that here are the resources, be it nuclear energy, be it gas, or be it renewable energy. How do we deploy to benefit the country in the most possible way? And the issue around climate change. Climate change for Africa is a reality. We actually, especially in the southern tip of Africa, we have actually seen the countries that are generating their energy from hydro experiencing very, very, very low energy generation because of the drought. So therefore, these are clean energy sources that we can utilize, but we need therefore to be able to say, how do we support them when such situations happen? So for me, renewable energy is the future. Renewable energy has become very, very cost competitive, but how do we make sure then that it meets our energy demand as a continent?
More than 90% of South Africa's electricity is coal-based. So it's an extremely carbon-intensive electricity system. In fact, the most carbon-intensive, one of the most carbon-intensive globally. We also turn coal into liquid fuels for our local transportation. So by and large, we've got some of the highest CO2 emissions per GDP and per capita in the globe. And we've built whole economies based on coal. We have whole regions of our country, towns and districts that are based on coal mining. And one can then appreciate that the shift from coal to renewables is going to have deep socioeconomic implications. And so we need to have a very deliberate plan to make such a transition to renewable energy. And we've done a lot of the modeling around what that might look like. It's very, very clear that the cheapest, most sustainable energy given our wind and resources and hydro is renewable electricity. and that over time we will gradually transition. It's not going to be overnight. It might take a decade or two or three to make that transition. And things such as oil and gas will be transitionary fuels, and natural gas specifically will have a huge role to play in the foreseeable use to complement the variability of renewable energy.
If you're looking for a base load to support that, I would just submit, don't count out nuclear. Think about nuclear as an option, because with advanced nuclear, especially some of the small modular reactors, the micro reactors, and even some of the full-sized advanced reactors are much more economically competitive. Many of the small modular reactor designs that are coming online in the next 3 to 5 years will be very comparable to a combined cycle natural gas plant. So if you're thinking about gas or a base load as gas is a great option for certain places. If that works for you, terrific. But if you're looking at something as a base load, don't count out nuclear, because the new nuclear are competitive with combined cycle gas plants for capital costs. And they're about 25% of what the capital costs are for traditional nuclear. So that's one point, that advanced nuclear is much more cost competitive than it has been in the past.
With regard to the issue around local content and also the presence of women in the energy space, I'm of the view that one of the opportunities that we have as entrepreneurs is being agile. We have to be able to make decisions very, very quickly, and we are able to utilize the technology in the most effective way. One of the issues that I had mentioned before is that there is a lot of body of work that has been done in research and development of various technologies in the energy space. All I would like to see happening is government supporting entrepreneurs to be able to deploy those energy systems, to make sure then that they are localized, make sure that manufacturing happens locally. And one of the greatest issues about women in energy is the fact that actually we are primary users of energy, and it makes a lot of sense to be the ones who actually drive the energy systems going into the future.
One thing that's very important is local content, local IP requires local expertise. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, that is true. The African context is not different from the American content. It's not different from the Chinese context. Local content, local IP will require everywhere local expertise. And that's where political will and leadership is important, to make sure that companies like ours, when we are investing in South Africa, when we're investing in Senegal, Egypt, Ghana, we have a local base of expertise we can tap on to train if required, but to have the knowledge, at least the basic fundamental knowledge that's available, to be able to use or to train in a very quick manner.
It's really important that each nation develop their people as they're developing their infrastructure. It's important, and especially I have to give a plug for a gender balanced approach. I'm a vice chair on the Clean Energy Ministerial's C3E, which is the Clean Energy Education and Empowerment Initiative, that really reminds organizations that equal pay and equal opportunity for women are especially important, and a diverse workforce really creates a great outcome.